Good morning, everyone. Suzanne Taylor King here for the Productive and Prosperous Entrepreneur Coffee Chat. You got a mug to this morning, Jason?
Well, of course.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Cheers. Um, so, welcome to the show. Jason Croft is an amazing, not only podcaster. Would you call yourself a video producer almost, or I
Sure.
don't know?
One of
Tell
many
us.
things, yeah.
Tell us about yourself.
Oh goodness. So, yeah, video, film, movies, corporate events, all that fun stuff for 30 years now. Jumped in front of the camera for the podcast side of things, video
Mhm.
podcast specifically so far, around 2015. Fell in love with it. And really, you know, no matter what, I've kept that going
Yeah.
just because that gives me such life and it's oxygen. It's powerful. And that first show came about at the same time I was realizing that this is how I'm just wired. I get energy from other people and I love this
Mhm.
so much. And I wanted to be that connector and I wanted to be,
Yeah.
that kind of person in that role, and I was the furthest thing in the world from it, and so I was on that journey just to, okay, how do I get good at this? Like, what does it take? What are the skills? What are the and I feel like I have, always getting better,
Yeah.
trying to, but
Yeah, I feel that. And what is so amazing, I want to touch on the connector piece because I think out of anyone's podcast that I've listened to, yours really stands out in the way you feature the guest, the way and you have a conversation with them. You're not asking canned questions. You're not it's not all about promoting them. It's not all about promoting you. It's truly interactive. And I didn't know this, but apparently it's the hardest thing to do.
yeah. Well, and I think it be because you didn't know it because it comes naturally to you. Because I remember commenting back when you and I first met, watching, an interview that you did, and I think with Cliff and Ravenscraft,
Mm,
and I was so impressed because I am a student of this stuff. Of course, I listen to podcasts and do all this stuff because I've been on such a journey to get better. Right, I'm a
mhm.
student of it, and I pay attention to that as much as the content. And it really was that not just a good interview, good conversation, but what you're touching on, it's what I try to hammer home to people, which is a lesson that someone had to teach me specifically,
Mhm.
was to really have this balanced dynamic,
Yeah.
And it, I mean, on my second show, the driving around, the Jason Croft show, very obnoxious title, which I loved,
Mhm.
Seinfeld style, driving entrepreneurs around. And
Love it.
Matthew Pollard, he was a guest on the show, fantastic guest. We had our interview, drove around, and at the end, he stopped and he was like, "You mind if I just give you a little feedback and stuff?" Like, yeah, of course, always. And he's like, "This has been great. I feel wonderful. You've shined a spotlight on me. I got to talk about everything I wanted to talk about. But what about you? You know,
Mhm.
you you haven't used this platform of yours to position yourself as the expert, as in these different areas." And that, I mean, that was it. I was just like, got it. Like, okay.
Yeah.
And all the way to like constructing the show, strategy and action that I have now, so that it is built in. And I think that's the piece, that the how-to piece. If somebody gets this insight, that's the how-to piece a little bit, because I build into the show that we're discussing a topic, a core topic, of course, based on who that guest is.
Mhm.
But it's the two of us having this discussion more than, "Oh, tell me about yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What else? And then what happened?"
Yeah.
Instead of being, that dynamic. And
Mhm.
there's, all that stuff comes out too. But
Well, that's why I picked the Productive and Prosperous Entrepreneur because we always had those core topics to go back to, which are some of my favorite topics. But I want to go a little deeper with you today on something you did this week that was just so stellar and such a go-giver mindset. So you
There's
read it.
so many though. I did so many stellar things
I
this
know.
week
I
though,
know.
Suzanne. So
Stellar for me. Let's say that. All right, stellar for me and the Idea Lab community, which you're a part of, which I'm honored to have you there. I made a post about being a go-giver, and it was quite a witty post. It was a screenplay post, which I loved it. That came at like 5 in the morning when I couldn't sleep. And you commented and you tagged 4 or 5 people.
Mhm.
And 3 of those people are actually people I'm a fan of, people I've read their books. And through the conversation in the comments and them listening, reading my post, I was able to get 2 of them on my calendar next week about being on this show in a totally genuine, authentic way. Like, all right, I'm
Yeah.
fangirling over here. Love your work. Talk about your work. Hashtag your work all the time. How can I promote you to my tribe of people? So it's all about them.
Yeah.
And it makes me look freaking awesome. So thank you.
You're
But
very welcome.
but the mindset of this is something that doesn't come easy to people.
Mhm.
Putting your own promotion really aside, and you were highlighting me to other people, which it doesn't get much better than that when somebody does that for you.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you.
Well, you're very welcome, and I'm so excited. I get chills hearing that because that's everything. When I sat back, when I that original "I wanna be that," it came from
Yeah.
Malcolm Gladwell's The Tipping Point, when he talks about
Oh,
connectors in there, and I
yeah.
read that, and I was just like, "Oh, I wanna be that," and I had no idea why. I had no experience in that world of doing
Mhm.
that, and ever since then, that's been kind of the North Star, right? And I love what happened yesterday so much because it takes this idea that of these concepts that we throw around. Hey, go out and give value.
Right.
Go be a connector.
Right.
Go into, and it makes it very, very, very concrete
Mhm.
because it was like it's so many layers. I'll walk through the layers because they all do play a part and there is intentionality and
Yeah.
every ingredient is so important. So the post itself, I mean, even the algorithm, we'll even touch on these things too, because it all plays a part. And every little bit that everyone's just like, whatever,
Mhm.
every little piece is
Yeah.
important. So of course you and I are connected. We have a good relationship. I see your post. I want to read this, right? I think
Mhm.
I think you tagged me on that
I did.
post.
I
So it
did.
started with you. Hey, we were just talking about this yesterday. Read this. So there's already like cool, like get some people involved. Like
Mhm.
fantastic post. If it wasn't, I would have gone, yay, good job, whatever, and just
Yeah.
and been on it. And that's the piece of all of this too that I want to emphasize. And you touched on it already. It is very genuine. It's intentional, every
Mhm.
action, but it's also very genuine. And I wouldn't have been doing it if I didn't feel this way, all along the way. So
Yeah.
that that's the first piece. I actually absolutely loved the post and that description. I was like, oh, because that post in my mind like paints that picture for folks. How do I
Mhm.
do all this stuff? Right? How do I do this networking stuff? Like it paints a great picture. So of course I, comment, leave on that, but I also purposefully tag some amazing networkers.
Mhm.
Sorry, Daniel Andrews. That's people with amazing networks. Correcting myself. See,
Good
uh,
job. You'd
I
be
did that in
so
the post
proud.
yesterday too.
You'd be so proud.
And he's one of them. And tagged a handful of folks that not only, again, not just because, oh, I want them to go and interact with this thing,
Mhm.
but genuinely, I admire the networks they build and how purposeful they are with stuff. And then I knew 100% that would resonate with them as well. I also knew, of course, that the algorithm loves that when you tag someone and they respond. I mean, it just boost, right? So that's
Yeah.
another, like, of course, that's going to be good. Then I was very specific with Stu Heineck and Bob Berg because, Stu Heineck, I'm connected with him, but I knew this would resonate with him 100%. It ties in with all three of his books, but, his
Yeah.
latest book, Big Time. And it was hitting me as I'm going, like, Stu and Suzanne need to know each other, like,
Yeah.
for sure. What she's
Well,
building.
his latest book is about growing your business like a weed,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. How to grow your business like a weed. It's
Love it.
fantastic.
Can't wait.
I've had the good fortune to have him on the show and talking about it and a couple of conversations with him.
Mhm.
And I knew the post would resonate and that you two need to know each other, so that was, and that he's active on LinkedIn too. And then
Yeah.
Bob Berg, I haven't had the good fortune to meet Bob yet, but I've been connected on LinkedIn and I watch him on anything I post or comment on that's mentioned him, and just see him through the comments that he's very active on LinkedIn and practices what
Mhm.
he preaches, right? Yeah. He's
Yeah.
in there giving value wherever. So I knew there would be some resonance again in the post itself. Of course, you're talking about his go-giver
Mhm.
methodology.
Yeah.
And so every little piece of it I knew would play a part in it. It was intentional. And I
Mhm.
guess there's some folks out there who are just like, well, that's not human and that's not you. But it's actually, for me, it's the most human thing in the world because it is intentional. It's not just like, well, if somebody meets, they meet. Like, no, I want these two people to know each other because they're going to make amazing things together. Right. And
Mhm.
so those are all the ingredients that went into it. And I'm just ecstatic that it played out that way wonderfully.
Well, there's 3 things I wanna touch on for listeners who think, "Oh, well, that's great, but nobody ever does that for me." I wanna say that first, it was a great post, if I do say so myself. It was
Yep.
different. It was unique. It had a message. It had action steps. Then you and I have a relationship. You get me, I get you. Awesome. We're
Yep.
in each other's networks. We're in each other's communities. Okay. Then by me knowing how to interact when you tagged someone, this is the key. This is what I learned from Rhonda Scher. She has a workshop or a class called Posting for Profit. And she literally gave me this much of the class. I didn't need the rest, this much. And it changed the trajectory of what I do in the comments and how I do it. It's still authentic, it's still real, but it's with purpose and with intention with the right people. And this is something you really have to kind of it's almost like a dance. You know what you want to meet the person, but there's a couple relationships it took me a year of commenting on their content to make the ask, "Hey, you want to have a 15-minute like get to know you? I want to learn more about what you do." And that takes determination, that takes, keeping track of people, but it also takes something else. And I want to touch on it because you have it, I have it, numerous people, Daniel Andrews has it, numerous people in my network have it. They have a desire to see other people succeed and a desire to share not only the stage, but the journey with other people. And I think that's key in being a go giver. I never realized I was a go giver until I read Bob Berg's book. And I didn't even know it was like a thing. And I immediately knew I've always been that. It's
Hmm.
kind of like how I was wired. I introduced 2 patients when I was a dental hygienist that were both single, and hilarious story. So they were there at the same time. One was my patient first and then the other one. And the guy said something to me like, "Who was your last patient? She was really cute." And I said, "Interesting you should say that. She's single and she lives in this town just like you do. Would you like an introduction?" And he was like, "No, that's okay. No, like, I don't want to do that." So in 6 months, I scheduled them at the same exact time. Whoops, whoops, little mistake, right? Oh, I'm so sorry. And I left them sitting in the waiting room together and let nature take its course. They're
That's
married with
awesome.
3 kids now.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
And, we see each other at game. They live in my town now, and we see each other. Our oldest children are the same age. And every once in a while, I'll see them, and the husband will say, "Thanks a lot."
oh
And
yeah.
and it really can have that ripple effect of, not only positivity, but I don't know. I just think it's an amazing way to be.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a life-changing thing. It can
Mhm.
be that. I mean, that's huge, you know?
Yeah,
And there are 100 other, levels, and it doesn't have to be, you go do business together tomorrow or you get
right.
married next week. But there's a lot of things even leading up to that that are so beneficial, and you meet this person because you knew that person, and it grows and it
Mhm.
grows.
Yeah.
I just yeah, I love that. And that's that other piece that you're talking about in here too, that it would have fallen flat, let's say, if you didn't do exactly what you're talking about.
Mhm.
Do your part in that. Like, "Oh, this is what's going on.
Right.
They're commenting. I'm gonna take action in
Yeah.
a purposeful way as well. I'm
Yeah.
gonna, I know how, and to carry that conversation forward and having some intention there. I mean, honestly, it's just like, I think just such a great concrete example
Yeah.
for folks.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to talk about it because, we've kind of been dancing around this topic for a couple weeks in the Idea Lab community. With coach conversations last week, we were talking about LinkedIn engagement and how to do that. And I just think if people realized the intentionality behind it, and then something else I want to say is the law of reciprocity. Because you did that for me, I'm immediately inclined, well, who do you want to meet? Like, how can I do that for you? And it also does something else with our relationship. It takes it to the next level of understanding what each other's mission, values, and who they want to meet. And where does that put us for when one of my clients needs what you do, or
Mm,
one of your clients says to you, "I'm really struggling with my content and scaling my business and up leveling my prices." Who are you going to think of?
oh
Because
yeah,
we have that relationship. And
absolutely.
I think that's the piece that people miss a lot out of all of this.
Yeah, and even at this, like, subconscious energetic level
Mm.
too, like, it raised this. There's just this understanding. It's so wild. I'm trying to get emotional just because it's my baby boy. But we had just had a we had a great time all day
Uh-huh.
yesterday. But
How old is he?
he's 11.
11.
He's my youngest,
Uh-huh.
and he was talking about the essentially group. They're all group of friends, but one of his they were like, "Oh, let's play a joke on this one," and
Mm.
he stopped it all, and he was like, "He's going to be tremendously upset if you do that. Like, don't do that."
Wow.
And it even got to the point of, like, I can't remember the exact dynamic, right? But the kid who was going to get, be the brunt of it left, and my son went with him to make sure, like, hey, everything's good. Instead of staying with the kids playing football and stuff, he
Ugh.
went with him, and he's telling me this story, and it touches on what we're talking about, because I said, you know, he's not going to know. He's probably not processing. Oh, Maddox did this for me. I will feel this way. But I said, son, of course, it did all. I'm so proud of you, and like that's just amazing. But at an energetic level, like you two just became so much closer
Yeah.
because of that action you took, that he knows at a level he's not even thinking about, at a level he knows that you've got his back.
Mhm.
And that's going to just make that friendship so much stronger.
Oh, yeah.
It's that same dynamic and energy.
Yeah, that's what Coach Chris is
Yay!
commenting. Hello, Coach Chris. Pure networking at work, taking a genuine interest in others and finding ways to serve. You will be rewarded. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. Um,
Yes. Chris Michelle,
and
fantastic dude
I,
right there.
I know he's so just insightful. And if you haven't picked up his book, The Red Chair Experience, I'll do a little commercial, Coach
There you
Chris.
go. Do it.
One of my favorite daily books to pick up and read the quote and the passage for the day. And that's my morning habit, his book and the Daily Stoic. And he actually texted me this morning and said, wow, the Daily Stoic today was really powerful, made me think of you. And I said, wow, today was great. So great that it's sitting right here on my desk to take a photo of the Epictetus quote and send it to one of my clients. So Coach Chris and I were like mind melding this morning. So
Perfect. Perfect.
yeah. Yeah. So it's things like that, right? Like, um, that's not doing business. That's not referring clients to each other. There's no money exchanged there, but that emotional connection that I have with Coach Chris and numerous other people that I talk to often, like my inner circle of people, that is like, that drives me in business. That's the reason I do what I do. And it's made me so much more successful.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
it leads into, I think too, another thing, that's another theme that has been floating around for us the last couple of weeks.
Mhm.
Here I am. I'm going to ask the questions here. No.
Oh, well, you are the podcast host
That's right.
extraordinaire,
That's right. I can only not ask questions for so long during a
Yeah.
conversation. Uh, but this idea, I love the concreteness of the example we just went through for folks.
Mhm.
Um, I find it interesting that still today, because we've heard it so much in the content
Mhm.
marketing space, maybe to a fault, like, or too far at times, but this idea of give, get, right? Give value, and just the most successful people, like, I'm telling you, just give it away. And not just what they're telling you, but watching them, right? Watch them, hear them give it all away, because that percentage of folks are always going to be there, who want you to do it for them, want to learn more, want to go deeper, want to have their hand held through it rather
Yes.
than just knowing. And it's been interesting, honestly, like the last, I don't know, few weeks, to still feel that pushback from different people along that, and they can't wrap their heads around that.
Mhm.
And it is counterintuitive, right? Like, if you aren't just kind of wired this way and just give anyway, maybe it's hard to push through that and like take that first step. So I thought
It
maybe
is
we
because
could.
of fear, because of, maybe lack or, um, there's a mindset thing there that says,
Yeah.
this is my stuff. This is what I created. It's unique. It's my thing. Well, the only thing unique is your spin on it. All the ideas are out there. All the
Yeah.
methods are out there. And what's interesting for me is I see in the online space, especially, somebody who sells a method, right? They sell their unique method of doing something. It's never how they've grown their business.
Mm,
And I want people to think about that for a
yeah.
second. And I'll use Facebook group expert as an example. $20,000 program to learn how to have a successful $1 million Facebook group using bots and ads and VAs. Plain and simple, it's a great program. I get the concept,
Sure.
but that's not how she grew the group.
Mm,
She grew the group through Facebook ads. Now, interesting, right? So you're leaving out a piece of how you got people to the group, and people pay $20,000 to learn how to have a successful Facebook group, and they fail because they're missing that piece that she's afraid to give away.
yeah.
Interesting. And I've
Yeah.
seen that over and over, and that example's from 10 years ago.
Sure.
And I've seen it all the time, that fear of giving something away. And I'm going to use this example. I just took my curriculum from my 3-month program, and I took it out of Google Drive, where all the assets were, and I put it into like an LMS system, step by step, homework place to submit. It's really cool. And I had a client on the fence about joining the next round of the program. I sent her a login. I said, check out the curriculum, see if it resonates with you. And she was like, you're giving it to me? I'm like, I'm letting you see it for a week. If
Yeah.
you think you can watch everything in a week, have at it. The magic comes in from being in the group and being with me and moving forward over the 3 months. The
Yeah.
curriculum, I could care less, right?
Yeah.
So,
And that's the perfect so that's the balance and it
mm,
because I want to acknowledge for folks too that it isn't just this like judgment call of just like you haven't accepted this mindset and you're horrible. This is ridiculous. No, it is
right.
hard. It is a counterintuitive thing to get around, especially the more
Mhm.
you do value what you have to give, the more success you have been able to get for folks. And, you maybe something you've been working on for years and it's taken a lot of work.
Mhm.
And that doesn't mean you have to go completely Alex Hormozy style, right? And just every single ounce, everything in the world's out there for
Right.
free or 99 cents, right? Like you don't have to go all the way that way. But to your point, that example that you just gave is that perfect energy and mentality, right?
Yeah.
Like you could give the world that LMS. You could put that on LinkedIn tomorrow, and it's
Mhm.
not really gonna affect you getting clients other than maybe it would increase. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
wouldn't, it's not gonna keep that from happening. But at the same time, there's also a play and there's value to it. So why not own that, right? Why
Mhm.
not put a price tag to help make sure that it's seen that way. But then
Yeah.
the energy that you've got of just like, case by case basis and sure, check it out. Here, take it, look at
Well,
it, you know?
I think a lot of people will read a sales page or a services page and still not have a clear picture of what it's like to work with the person.
Yeah.
And by peeking behind that curtain, maybe coming to one of my workshops or events, you kind of get a peek behind, oh, what is it actually like to spend time with her in a coaching, environment? And I think that sneak peek is key.
Yeah.
You can't, I mean, there are persuasive sales pages out there and, services pages that get clicks and signups. But when you're talking what we do, which is a little higher end, which is a little more of a commitment to people, I think it really is this that sells what you're doing.
Yeah. And there's a piece to it, in my opinion, that we're just going more and more that direction every day.
Mm.
So it's also a level of, like it or not, you better start structuring, because you can be at the forefront of this, or in 5 years, whatever it is,
Mm.
that you're kind of forced into it, because this is the MO of everyone. They put together amazing, high quality, in-depth courses that they give away for free because
Mhm.
they want you to work with them one-on-one. And then no one's coming to you anymore, because everything you do is behind a gate. Like, I've got the world over here from this
Yeah.
renowned person with a personal brand, and I've been following forever.
Mhm.
Why would I buy it? And I don't know. I think it's just something to take in. And I mean, I'm in that mode a little bit of transition of, okay, where does each of my things,
Yeah.
honestly, like what I'm going through is, from the beginning, right? Like, what can I put together that would be, amazing? Like, I've got courses lined out, like, oh, this would actually be just
Mhm.
phenomenal lead magnet, a phenomenal thing to just give in presentations and do, and
Mhm.
live. Because what I really want is working with folks like
Right.
this.
Right.
So I mean, that's the shift that's happening. And I just want to acknowledge folks too, who, if it's uncomfortable, yeah, it's supposed to be. It's
Mhm.
we get it. It's not
Yeah.
a,
It's supposed to be.
you're not
It's supposed
wrong
to be.
for like having to be kind of pulled into it a little bit and learn, but
Yeah.
get on board.
Get on board. I love it. I love it. Well, why don't we segue into what you actually do with your clients that so impressed me that I booked that first call with you to hear about how you do it. So that's
Oh
your
yeah,
lead
absolutely.
in.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Perfect. You are pro. Look at
Well,
that.
I learned from the best.
Yeah, so I have something called the video growth system, where very simply, we get on a call for 60 to 90 minutes and create, up to 48 pieces of content for them. Nice high end recording. So when I moved to Colorado and kind of moved into this, I had to figure out this remote recording
Mhm.
of my
Mhm.
show and still have it look good, still be high quality, still.
Yeah.
And that's, once I got that dialed in, that was a piece that I had for folks, and I'm able to do that remotely for them. And even just this solo content that I bring people through, there's kind of two levels to it, which the beginning stage, always, no matter what we end up creating, is this strategic clarity, right? It's like, go through, all the normal stuff of who's your ideal client, and what's your specific IP. Because I tend to work with coaches, consultants who've been doing this 3 to 5 years at least.
Mhm.
They know their stuff. They know how they get to
Yeah.
people. I'm here to help them translate that in over to video, right? Translate that into X amount of posts a month, and how do I break this down? And that's what I found over and over again. Sure, people want to walk away with the tangible stuff, but it's that process that they didn't even realize they needed, of,
Yeah.
recording for them, coaching them through that. Hey, let's try that again. Let's change this wording just a little bit. I know your intent, but let's do this with it. And that's the fun stuff for me. That's the you know. So that's the main thing that
And
I'm working with folks
I
with right
I
now.
love it because the way you were saying it, I just met someone yesterday who um, does basically an audit of somebody's website, social, and puts a literally like a list of topics together for short form video.
Oh, nice.
I'll introduce you to him.
Oh yeah.
And we had this amazing conversation in the car on my way somewhere. And he said, I already have yours ready. Do you want me to send it over? And I was like, what? He said, and he went into detail on a couple different pictures on my website, and he said this, that, like, and it was so amazing. That massive value.
Oh yeah.
Massive value.
So then what's the deliver? Is he selling the audit, or is that always his start and then he's
No, that's
selling?
always his start. He's not selling anything else as of right yet, which is why he booked a call with me, because he wants to figure that out. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
But
That's
the
an
audit
amazing.
piece,
That's awesome.
amazing,
Yeah.
right? I can work with that, which is really cool. All right, let's talk about how people reach you, how they get in touch with you, and if they want to talk about breaking down that content, what do they need to do?
Absolutely. So best ways, I'm certainly all over LinkedIn. You can find me there without a doubt. Medialeadsco.com is the business site.
Mhm.
And then if you just want to go to thejasoncroft.com, type that right in, get you over to a
The
link tree. The, yes. I
JasonCroft.com.
mean, it's usually understood that the these are there, but for the website, I put it in thejasoncroft.com, and that's got links to the site and all the shows I'm doing and all that fun stuff.
Nice. Nice. Well, you are the Jason Croft. So I appreciate you. Thank you for being on the Productive and Prosperous Entrepreneur Coffee Chat today. I loved where we went on this conversation.
Me too.
And thank you for being that authentic, intentional voice in my world. And just much gratitude to you. And thank you again for
Thank you for having me.
yesterday, for the post, for being here today. Awesome.
Well, thank you,
You're
because
welcome.
I just love what you're doing, love what you're building, love how
Thank you.
you approach all of this, and I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. All right. Have an awesome Friday. Great weekend, everyone. And if you want to meet more incredible people like the Jason Croft, hit me up about joining the Idea Lab community for entrepreneurs. If you're connected with me here on LinkedIn, the link is right in my profile. And brand new newsletter just dropped this week called The Community Vibe. Twice a month, learning about community and all the things Jason and I talked about today. Being a go-giver, massive value, showing up, attracting your tribe, and having clients message you directly from your content. And that's right on my profile as well. And connect with me, and I'll point you in the right direction of some more amazing people in the Idea Lab community. Thanks again, Jason. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too. See ya.